Okay, imagine tech, we're all on the same ship. Now let's enter this thing called AI.
Yes.
He's already touched on it, but I want him to take us at a pace where we all understand. So I'm going to just layman it. You've heard him say something called meta AI. Meta AI is actually something that already exists. It is the ChatGPT version of Meta, but we're going to get into Meta AI. Let's first start this from the very layman. What is AI? What does AI even stand for?
Before I get into that, there's something that you've said a couple of times. Best attorney in Kenya or Africa. Leading expert in climate change in Africa. I think we have to change that notion now. With AI and technology, you're the best of the best. And I think that should give you the world stage. I keep telling Richie here, he says Africa to the world. He's globally good. He can compete with anyone toe-to-toe in asking the right questions. So I think we need to just shift that a little bit. You're the best of the best. And when I'm out there outreaching and talking to people, they're like, where did you learn English? I just learned how to speak English from you. Just to make fun of it. Where do you live? Where did you grow up? I say, hey, I grew up in Kenya, where we have 57 million people and a very high literate environment. This is the sharpest of the sharpest. I speak to people and I'm like, man, these guys are hungry. So we need to acknowledge that now. And by leveraging technology, if someone says, can you give me stats on technology changes? It's a click of a button. Then you're global good. And I think that's why we also need to start outreaching and saying, fixing our LinkedIn to make sure if someone is looking for an expert, they can be able to go in, source that, and be able to get all of you guys. Okay?
I love that. But they're talking about LinkedIn. There's actually somebody who's very close to me who actually specializes and who've been a part of doing this event when it comes to fixing the back end, which is your LinkedIn. Kimberly Njao, who is my sister and also helped with organizing this event. If you've got emails replied to you, her and her team have been the ones doing this. So let's go back into this question. Yeah. It's also important to shout out people. Yeah. You know, this stage is where you can't just take the limelight alone. I love what he said. He's already entered elements of the technician, where he's saying, Richie, stop thinking local. Me, I'm like, I'm not thinking local, I'm thinking Africa. He's been telling me throughout the whole time since I've met him, why do you limit yourself to just the continent? It's been mind-blowing to hear. He's telling me, dude, I work in Silicon Valley. I work with the best of the best, and you are up there. So we have to also check ourselves. And this is part of fixing the technician is beginning to dream big. I'm going to throw you something just to give you context of how Alex, my 2 minutes of meeting him, I knew I was dealing with a different kind of animal. So I call Alex here, and when we shoot our CTAs here, I love treating the guest with honor because they're about to share their life story. I shot Julian CT at his house and he treated me with honor. So I take Alex for breakfast. And the question that he asked, and I want you to understand the question from the mentality. He said, this place is amazing. How much does it cost? I want to buy it. I was like, what? Where have I limited my mind to mina kuja lunch? Do you get? He looked at the place and he was like, man, I want to buy it. And his questions were then centered on, what does this cost? And for me, it's not about the money or even having the money. It's about the dream, the possibilities, the lack of barriers. So I love what he said from a technician perspective. And I want you guys to own that thing. We're chipping at barriers today. This digital and this aspect of AI, we're no longer Kenya. We're no longer Nairobi. We now have to enter mentality of this are products that we are creating for the world stage. Frencho has already created a product that is for the world stage. So are we together?
Yes.
Are we chipping into that mentality?
Yes.
Okay, so now, Alex, back to you on the question of AI.
Yes. Just to add one more thing. Richie is giving shout-outs to people in this room. I want you guys to connect. There's so much power in connecting with one another. You guys can change the world. Just this room in here, it could be, someone who changes the world. It's one person. And I see that all the time in Silicon Valley. It's the connections that you make. And again, the new world is level-less. The guy who comes up with the idea is the coder. The guy who normally can't talk as much. His background is kind of like, whatever, I'm thinking of this genius idea. This is where the energy is. When people come up with ideas, it's, hey, let me pitch it with this group of people. So make a chance to actually meet each person in this room and just connect with them genuinely, regardless of a level. Going back to the perspective of buying the place, is that that's how you think when you're out in the West. And that's how people and the majority think. I'm not saying that I have the money, but you know what? I can band a couple of people and we can think about owning something like this. So it is possible is always my mantra. Think about it first, then plant that seed, then it will come. And I know it's difficult and easy to say it at the same time when you're there, but it's a small steps. Just start thinking, yes, this is a thing that I'm doing. Let me do it really well, then build upon it. What is AI?
Let me say, umse Embu. This is Embu to the world.
Yes.
So it's possible.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? It's possible.
Yeah.
What is AI?
And the interesting thing, I don't let the Embu define me. And you should not let the Embu define you. You should not let your tribe, I'll dare say that. The fact that I'm, yes, Gacheche, and everyone is like, what are you? Yes, mimi ni Mkisi, mimi ni Mkikuyu, mimi Mjaluo, everything there is. And that's one thing we have to break barriers within, even Kenya ourselves. We think of each other as the tribe first. I've been to places, and I feel that. I've been to places too, nanitisha soja, tumekuja kunini, wewe ndio nani? I changed my accent a little bit, and I'm kuja mkubwa. We need to change that perspective.
There's a lot of interjection from this guy called Richie, but it's to continue on what he's saying. The connection is also part of the technician. Remember, there's two parts of where this story goes. There's the tech, which we're going to be talking about, and there's the technician. Both of them go together. You heard him say connection. Do you know how Alex has ended up sitting here? I sat down with a lady called Kendin Twiga. Kendin Twiga also works at Meta. Alex's wife watches the CT and tells Alex, there's a lady here who seems to work in the same place as you. Both of them are from Embu. Worked, both of them at Meta, but have never met and don't even know they existed. Alex, through the internal system, reaches out to Kendi. Kendi connects me, opens up our WhatsApp group, me, Alex, and Kendi. Kendi does the introduction. Kendi exits. Me and Alex are now seated here.
Yeah.
And you guys are in the room because Alex is seated here.
Yeah.
So this thing of connections, it is not a joke. Cool?
Yeah.
Now we have to answer this. What is AI?
So I'll speak in practical terms. So AI has been in existence for a long time.